This episode is brought to you by our patron supporters. Today's patron of the day is Melody. Patrons get the show always ad-free and access to the extended episode with that bonus content. Like today when Promise will share the Cadis story and Jimmy is going to read some anonymous confessions he received on his birthday. If you don't want to miss all that, go to patreon.com/calltheline. That's patreon.com/calltheline. And I will tell you right now, some of those confessions, y'all are going to horny jail. Goodness sakes.
I'm scared.
The use of emojis alone, inappropriate.
Oof.
But now we go on to the show. Welcome, everybody. I feel like I was only half in. It's like, am I even really introducing the show?
Yeah.
Welcome to The Line Has a Podcast. I'm Jimmy Snow.
I'm Promise Backlund.
Baby Cat Backlund. It is Friday.
Wow.
I don't know. I just
That was
compulsively shouted it out. Thank you.
That was great. I haven't heard that one yet.
Pretty good impression. What people were really thinking is this guy nails it. Jimmy has that hip hop flow to his voice, and we're surprised he doesn't throw down more often. Yeah. It's Friday, March 7th, I hope, 2025. When you're listening to this, who knows? You might be fighting this in a post-apocalyptic wasteland years and years after the world has gone to shit and been utterly destroyed. So let's say 2032, because it's not that far off, let's be honest.
That's being pretty generous, because that's after the asteroid is supposed to hit us. So
the asteroid is not going to hit us, people.
Please.
It's impossible.
I'm counting on it. It's not impossible. It's 3.1% possible.
They are literally going to, SpaceX exists and is right now getting all them. You think he's not going to get billions of dollars to be able to put a rocket to bump?
Do you think they're going to do anything? No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We already know how to bump asteroids, and it's so easy the further they are away. You just have to move their gravity a little bit.
Sounds like a drug thing.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Anyway, it's March 7th, and we're going to be talking about Trump's controversial State of the Union, where he just kind of lied a lot.
The entire time.
Not to mention more Trump lies about the tariff international backlash, Elon Musk's Doge lies. It's just going to be a day of lies. I'm Seth Green.
What?
I just felt like adding another lie.
Oh, gotcha.
Let's just both lie. Who do you want to be? I don't want to be Seth Green. I should have picked somebody else. I guess I could be Seth MacFarlane, though. Do you know that I haven't been really practicing this impression in a long time, and it's starting to lose
like
some of its
else too.
Some of its candle. It could be
sound
the
like
right
you're
word.
from Harry Potter.
Do you think I sound like Dobby the himself? No.
The what?
Mr. Potter must not go back to Hogwarts this year. Anyway, if I put a little bit of effort, I had a cold much like today when I first discovered that I could do an okay Stewie.
That is better. That's probably the best that you had so far.
Well, did you hear it back in its heyday though? I used to be able to convince people I was the voice of Stewie, but I just legitimately haven't practiced it. What the deuce? Who the devil do you think you are? It just takes a little bit of time.
That's not bad.
I'll get back in. I used to read super chats. Who wants to pay me to read a super chat is Stewie.
Nice. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you have a sinus thing happening right now, so it makes
sense
it doesn't.
That you're still... My air is clear, it's just painful. And like the worst part was it was what else we're going to talk about? That's pretty much it. Oh, and Andrew Tate and his brother, they're in Florida. Okay, back to my throat. All right. So the pain is mostly like the area, I'm trying to remember what it's called, in your mouth, the part where the air comes in, right behind your tonsils where the air comes in from your nose.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And
then down into your throat.
Your airway.
Yeah, but that's not the word for the things there. Okay, anyway, you fucking asshole. Whatever that thing is, that's like where the pain is. And it was because I use a CPAP machine and I use the nose only one. So it's blowing air and that kind of dries you out too. Right. So even though I have the humidifier and stuff on it. Yeah. Yesterday morning, I think, was the peak. Actually, maybe Tuesday morning was the peak, but it started Sunday before literally having a person who I love so much come into town to spend the week with me for my birthday. And I was so sick also with stomach stuff the first day she was here.
Oh, yeah.
And then the second day was I've just been like under the weather every day since, and so it's like I've had some good hours and we've still been having some fun. And why did I say that with a different foot? Do you know what we've been up to? Anyway, we've still and she's been happy to be here and spending time with me and stuff. But it's been an underwhelming, unpleasant time.
I'm
but
so sorry.
I turned 35 this week, everybody. On Wednesday, I turned 35.
So
I'm
you're
now
announcing your
candidacy
campaign.
for presidency.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I can be the president now.
Excellent.
Listen, here's the thing. No, but I could do the job better than Trump because so could almost anybody. I feel an octopus put on a grid that looks like tic-tac-toe. And in each of the sectors are like the 9 things you could respond to any given situation with. And whichever one he touches first, or whatever he inks, whatever you get him to ink on, that's what you go with. I think that would outperform Donald Trump as president.
Can I ask a bonus question of the week?
Yeah.
As my eye twitches.
Yeah, because we're actually not even going to review. Almost no one engaged with last week's question of the week. No one cared. And I was giving people an opportunity to complain about Republicans and whether or not they actually enjoy the suffering of others. But
I think that was just such an obvious answer.
But it's fun to talk about.
Here's my bonus question.
Yeah.
Who is the worst real person you can think of? I don't know if I should say alive or dead or alive, that you think would do a better job at being president than Donald Trump.
Oh,
Should we say alive or dead or alive?
Yeah. Okay. So I think I understand the question. I would say the best would be Ted Cruz dead.
Again, not how I meant the question, but that works.
As president. No, as president. I think Ted Cruz would make the best president.
God. That went completely different than I thought. But yeah, fair enough.
I actually had said years ago, I think it was under when the Biden election was happening and there was a lot of people trying to like protest vote it.
Yeah. And
I said something along the lines of not only, that woman who now I think it's pretty safe to say was lying. I'm not thinking that Joe Biden is a saint and probably never made a woman uncomfortable and probably never broke boundaries, like product of his generation. But that Tara Reid woman who then defected to Russia and had a history of doing these kinds of things, including against Bernie. I think when the investigation came out, which we only ever saw from like the New York Times and stuff, it's pretty safe to say she was in fact the exception to the women never lie thing, which was already a dumb thing. But yes, believe women. Hashtag, it was believe women. It was never believe all women. And
Jimmy's trying to find out how quickly he can get canceled in an episode.
I've already done this one. I swear to God, this is the fucking problem we have on the left, is that somebody will make a caricature of the left, and then a bunch of people on the left will go, well, the right said we do that, so we have to defend doing that. So it's like believe women was a thing. But believe all women was never actually a thing.
Correct.
But then you had these people who were like, no, yeah, all women, including if somebody anonymously says they're a woman online and says you did something, you did it. And I'm like, and that's happened to me. And I'm like, dude, you can tell this story has been written by a man in the first place. But are we over talking the victims? Not in any significant way did that specific example happen to me. Other dumb shit happened to me. But there was never a believe all women thing.
Right.
Because that's not, especially like the moment, and then there were lots of dumb things that we would like cite, like only 2% of rape accusations were false. No, none of that's correct. But it is certainly the case that there were statistics that found that it is disproportionately that the system works against women who did have the shit happen to them. And you as an individual should extend belief to anybody who comes to you about it and get them the support and get them the help and get them everything else. The 2% number thing, the more you like try to look into it and prove it, because I fully believed it at first, and then it's like, oh no, this is made up. This is like a made up thing where it's like in one specific thing, 2%, I want to say it was something crazy, like 2% of cases would turn into a situation where they discovered the woman was lying and then like prosecuted the woman or something.
Well, and
which does not equal 2% of rape accusations are false at all.
And I don't think we have a full picture of even what we're looking at because, and I know this is anecdotal, but I also know most women that I know would say the same. You hear from your friends and family and everybody, and they're just not reporting these things. I know myself that what I've been through, I didn't report it. I didn't go to court. And I don't regret that, because I don't know that that would have fared well for me, but that is what happens to a lot of people too. So then we still don't even know. Like it's disproportionate in that, right? That's what we should have been
platforming that shit, and not these made up like only 2% ever. Because first of all, the moment you create a narrative that it never happens, they never lie, the people who are going to take advantage of that are the people who are like, oh, I'm going to get instant belief. Of course, I'm going to go exploit this shit. I shouldn't be clapping on an audio format, but I'm sorry, people, if that did anything weird to the mic. but what's frustrating about that shit is like when you even comment, somebody's gonna be pissed off. Actually, Jimmy, 2%, and I'm sitting here going like, if that 2% number was true, definitely throw that everywhere. It wasn't true, but if it was true, throw it everywhere, or put the actual 2% number that actually is true. Because I don't remember what the exact thing was anymore, but the actual 2% was taken away from a troubling statistic. But that 2% statistic is so much less powerful than like actual numbers that are real, for first of all. But second of all, fundamentally, you're going to be telling a group of men, shut up and listen because women don't lie. And they're going to be like, bro, I know women who lie. What? Of course I'm not going to believe that. So if instead you go with like women are in a society, if you're actually painting the picture of you are in a society where it is discouraged for them to advocate for themselves so much that somewhere between this number, and this is the one that would be outrageous. It's going to be some way high. It might be single digit percentages of how many women have reported their rape.
Yeah, like I think that sounds right based off of just what I've experienced and heard in life.
Or sexual assault or whatever other.
Right, exactly. Whatever it may be. Stuff that is probably reportable. It's just that we've been encouraged based off of the results of other stuff to not do it. It's easier. Right. It's in our favor, actually, to just fucking move on and go get help on your own and move forward. Which is sad, because then the cycle continues, because then you have perpetrators that are out there that have zero consequences to their actions. But we don't have to you're right, we don't have to make claims of believing all to circle back around. I do think that's a thing that we struggle with on the left is defending things that we don't need to defend because they're not it's not just because they're not helpful. Right. It's ridiculous. It's like, no, we actually have legitimate arguments here, and we don't have to bring in these, what do you call it? Like false things to defend.
The caricatures.
They're caricatures, and it's like a false,
it's a real
flag,
issue,
like a red herring type thing that doesn't need to be addressed when we have real issues that we're trying to argue out here.
But I mean, even this issue of believing women and accepting them, that obviously is the real issue. But if you bring in this thing, like these terrible defenses, like the 2% stat, it's so imagine you're a Republican who doesn't want to believe women, who doesn't want to change that. How easy is it for them to dismiss you when you throw at them a 2% number that's bogus? And so they're like, oh, I guess I can let the whole thing go because you pivoted this argument on this. And I just hate how, like I said, they make a caricature of our argument, and then some of our people go, well, we have to go defend the caricature now because we're on that side, and they tell us what we have to. And
then we don't get to talk about all the women that don't even get to talk about what happened to them, that aren't able to report, or that don't feel comfortable reporting, or whatever. We miss out on this whole other, much more important side of things. So yeah, I agree.
It almost works with the question of the day. Actually, I want one more. I want to just give the one last example of like Ben Shapiro, bringing him up because he used to do I think he still does it, but he'll like on Mother's Day, he'll be like, happy parent of non-specific gender day, ha ha ha. And like, it's his one joke he makes every year, and everybody will be like, oh my God, roll eyes, roll eyes. And then in recent years, people literally started like defending it and being like, that actually is what it should be. That actually is, and it's not huge or anything, but you see it growing a little more and more each year. And it's just literally like, guys, you are fucking killing us here.
Yeah. It's true. I also get it though, because there is like that part of me, which luckily then I have like the skeptic part of me that's like, okay, why are you playing into this? Where it is like this reactive feeling to play into this culture war when they throw out a bid for it. And you're like, well, fuck you, because you do want to come against that, because you know that they're signaling transphobia or whatever it may be in that little comment they're throwing out there. But it's like, if we chase them down that path every single time, then we abandon these other legitimate arguments as well. And we're going to have plenty of time to get to the other ones too. So
let's do a sports metaphor, because we're both really sports good.
Right.
We're really good at sports. They're telling you which is your basket on the court, and they're pointing to theirs. They're
Sure.
really like, and every time you throw the ball in and you're like, yes, I scored against them. But you aren't looking at the scoreboard and noticing
like,
theirs are
right,
the points going up.
But at what cost?
Yeah.
No, I actually think that's a decent analogy, even though I have no idea what basketball is. So
I made it from half court. Yeah, into theirs. You made it from so it's a very impressive shot physically, but you did it into the wrong fucking goal.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, the question of the day, I want to know what you think are the best ways to resist and protest what is going on in America right now, because this is a hard question. How do we, to quote Hakeem Jeffries, what leverage do we have? Like, he looks so sad. It's discouraging to hear it from him in the first place. Be like, bro, so do something. Do something outrageous and find out what leverage. Don't come out and complain about how you're not going to do anything. Let's go hold up signs. Fucking idiots.
God, can't wait to talk about that.
Do you take the fight to the opposition, or do you put more effort into fighting the opposition than you do to purity checking your own side? There's a gorgeous person outside the door.
Aww.
You all will never see. You can, like, if you just want to be in here, you just got to stay behind that. Just
Tell her.
Don't breach the...
Hello.
Oh, you can talk to her after.
Okay.
After. Anyway, we'll take a quick break and then get into our stories, which are going to be about the mostly the State of the Union. And
whatever the fuck that was.
I'm going to skip my thing about people trying to cancel Green Day for their old lyrics.
I saw that.
You saw the cancellation or in the notes? Yeah, them trying to be like, Green Day, here's the short version. Green Day changed the lyrics to one of their songs, and it uses the R slur, and it's like, am I redacted or am I just overjoyed? And the new lyric is, am I redacted or am I just J.D. Vance, which is hilarious. And now people are complaining about, because it still has the R word in it, which is very ableist. And so I'm not going to go into it. Let's go ahead and get the music going for the break-in. But I would like to point out that I feel that this argument is 1,000%, like we're saying, anchored to the wrong stuff. This one would have to be anchored to the idea that Billy Joel Armstrong is neurotypical. That he doesn't get that word a little bit. That's not somewhat his word to possess. And if you fucking think that's true... Goodness sakes. I think the old phrase is, I have a bridge to sell you. I have some tariffs to sell you, you fucking idiots. Wow. That is the most redacted take I have heard all day, but we will be right back in a moment. Redacted!
This episode is brought to you by the amazing people on patreon.com/calltheline, where you can get the show ad-free and you get the extended episodes where we do bonus shows, which is most of the time. Head over to patreon.com/calltheline and sign up today. Would you like to be one of the cool people who can
Welcome back from the break, everybody.
I wasn't prepared.
Welcome back. Oh, God. We're back from the break, and it's so close to over. The music, I mean. Welcome back from the break, everybody. We're going to talk about lies. Lies. The Donald Trump lies from his joint session of Congress, where he gave the State of the Union. First of all, can I just say, I think the State of the Union happening so quickly into a person's presidency is stupid as fuck. Why is it scheduled for 2 months? Not even. It's been a month and a half. Oh my God. It's only been a month and a half.
I like that it's that early. I want to hear, like, what happened? Like, what did you do? Like, you got in. Have you learned anything new?
But the State of the Union is meant to be like, they're supposed to go up there and tell you, like, here's what happened, here's what's going on, and here's how we're going to, like, proceed.
But none of them use it for that. So,
bitch, you've been here for 10 seconds. Shut the fuck up and do something.
When did we set this precedent? Because I'm sure this was back when we didn't have freaking Twitter to where every day on Truth Social, he's letting us know all these things,
Right. I'm not
sure
blaming him anyway.
Yeah.
And by the way, I've already thought the State of the Union is stupid because it's just a masturbatory exercise where it's like, oh, clap every 10 fucking seconds. You know how quick this thing would be if you weren't allowed, if the Congress wasn't allowed to clap? 3 minutes. Not literally, but it feels that way. It's so fucking long. He said, shut the fuck up.
Or just like wave a little paddle in the air.
Yeah, but that doesn't take any time at least. It's just performative.
Yep, exactly. It's worse than clapping, actually.
In his first address to a joint session of Congress, I sound like Al Gore doing an inconvenient truth. Since returning to office, President Trump delivered a 100-minute speech filled with misleading statements and exaggerations, prompting the fact checkers to all die. Every fact checker actually died the night of the State of the Union.
Due to lack of job.
It was just...
They all got fired.
Oh, yeah. Doge laid them off.
Doge laid them off to begin, yes.
They starved to death.
It was a long thing.
Hour and 40 minutes, which is the longest joint session in 61 years. The theme of the speech, America is back, baby. We are back, and we are much worse than we have ever been. Claimed that he has achieved more in 43 days than most do in 4 or 8 years, including the best first, I was trying to remember the time frame. I think it was the best first month most done of any president in history, except for George Washington, which is pretty good. We're number 2, except to George Washington was number 1. He thinks that I think he makes the thing up, and he's like, well, if I put that I'm not as good as Washington, then I am being very humble.
Except this guy that owned people as slaves.
Right. Yeah, we keep forgetting Donald Trump owned people as slaves, and that's wild.
You mean Washington?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Got it.
No, I sure don't.
Okay, cool.
I do not mean
Got
Washington. Also
Understood.
Washington. But anyway, Donald Trump has definitely owned people as slaves, for the record.
One could argue that some of us are currently...
We're
okay, that's pushing
maybe
it.
not us specifically because we're in the pretty privileged class.
I was about to say, that's really pushing it.
People
I was going to
for
say
whom
are
we
at
advocate.
risk.
Yeah.
At risk.
Oh, yeah, I accepted
As
earlier
atheist
today in the shower.
leftists, I do think that we're like in line, so...
I was listening to, I'm trying to remember her name, but she's a journalist from the Philippines who was put in prison in the Philippines, and she was doing an interview on Jon Stewart's podcast about the fall of Duterte, but first the rise and how she went to prison and all this stuff. And I was just listening to the similarities of the way Duterte, I might be saying that wrong, I know it correctly, but now I'm doubting myself. The way he the first thing he does when he gets into office is pivot to Russia and China and go and befriend them, and then later overthrows the democracy and basically becomes the strongman dictator. Goes fully autocratic, and I'm like, oh, cool, exactly. It's the exact playbook. It's the exact same thing. And then I just accept it in the shower. I'm like, oh, word, if he succeeds, I'm gonna die. I'll die at the hands of this autocratic takeover. That's gonna be dope because your boy's not going to prison, not quietly. I don't have any desire to live in that mess. Anyway, there's some fucked up shit that if he gets his way and becomes the dictator, that look, people can say whatever they want about what they think his values are, but he's following playbooks. And we've already known this for a long time. It's not like this was the revelation from that interview, but he's been following the playbooks of violent authoritarian assholes. And if he gets the opportunity, he will finish out that playbook. So the question is, will he get it? Anyway, Trump talking about his election victory, claiming about more things about the mandate and the public sentiment. But I went and double checked the numbers. And it's so easy to forget because right now, with how loud the right is, it feels like they're surrounding us. But remember, people, first of all, he doesn't have 50% approval, but he has higher than he should have. But also, Joe Biden still beat him in the popular vote. But Joe Biden currently has the highest popular vote count of all time,
right.
Including usually you would see an increase in whoever wins next because more people vote unless you're doing like a midterm election that nobody cares about. But people cared about this one. Donald Trump did not get more votes, in fact, several million less in 2024 than Biden got in 2020. So Biden has still outperformed Trump. And so it can just be easy to remember that like enthusiasm for Trump winning is still less than enthusiasm was for him losing in 2020 compared to 2024.
Right. But they want you to believe that it was this is what America wants.
Yep. Democrats basically did a shutout of we're not going to clap, we're not going to stand for anything except for one point when it was ironic, which is the thing you just see all the see, they wouldn't even clap for this 13-year-old boy that Donald Trump was using as a political pawn. I don't know if you've seen that all across like threads and shit where they're like,
no, I've seen all, yeah.
Hey, we really want people to identify with this black kid that we're going to definitely make it harder for this kid to get like, home loans when he's older. But right now we're using him as a pawn and we should be celebrated for that.
Also, fuck healthcare.
Yeah. This kid who had brain cancer. So, clap for Donald Trump for this pawn move, even though he and Elon Musk just fucking defunded
funding for research
childhood cancer shit, man. Like, God. Oh my God. Al Green kept disrupting the speech, and I thought that was hilarious. I was like, I know they're going to be like, but Democrats today joined 10 Democrats today participated in censuring him, which was ridiculous.
I wish that all of them had done that. I wish they'd been strategic and taken turns doing it so they could have disrupted the entire thing. So every time somebody gets taken out, another person starts doing it. That's
I wish Elizabeth Warren would have bum rushed the stage, to tell you the truth.
Seriously.
I'd like to see. Why did Secret Service not end up? We didn't do enough if Elizabeth Warren didn't get tackled by Secret Service. That's what I know.
It's also so frustrating. I mean, I was watching and they're saying, Elizabeth Warren was furious when he made his Pocahontas comment.
She laughed.
And was clapped. Like nothing, there was nothing furious. I mean, I have no idea what she was thinking, so I can't, but that's the problem. I don't know what she was thinking. There was no like, hey,
but I recognized some of it. I recognize from my own life that laughter and that like, oh my God, it's such a baby, as when somebody to me is like, yeah, well, you might have all the facts, but if you don't believe me, you're going to hell. It's literally, it's like having a 10-year-old tell you like, you're not going to, 10-year-olds are maybe a little too old for it. A 6-year-old telling you you're not going to get any presents from Santa. And you're just like,
right. It's
no.
Laughable until you look at the whole situation. And that's why I wish there was 10 times the amount of Al Green energy happening in that room.
They shouldn't have been there in the first place.
It's agreed, a kind of. No,
they should have boycotted it.
I think there was value in being there. I don't.
Nah. What value?
And disruption. I think that would be the value.
Oh, you're saying like doing more of the shouting. Sure. I actually think that it would have taken, and he would have hated it. I think right now we need unprecedented level of shit for the fact that they're not today complaining about no one's ever done this. This is so disrespectful, blah, 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 and take out all of the steam from his thing. Cause right now it's all,
I agree,
we put paddles in the air.
Exactly. And that's my complaint. But I don't think not showing up would have done that. I think that would have been a win for Republicans. I think they would have loved it. They would have been look, they're such babies. They can't even sit here and be here. I think being there and being disruptive, or at least being stern, something. What we got from them with the paddles.
Empty side versus the full side makes them clapping forever seem ridiculous too. It would have changed that whole shift to that.
But that's still performative to me. Like not being there is still performative.
Everything is. All you can do is performative. So
I wish they made it nearly impossible for him to literally get a word out. That's what I wish.
No.
I wish it took.
See, that wouldn't have happened.
I wish it took 5 hours. What are they going to do? Then come in there, and if you're a Dem, they're going to remove you just because. Great, then do that, and then see what that does to the people outside of everything. I wish that would have happened.
I think you think that would have done great for our side, and it wouldn't. Everybody would have been sympathetic to. No, because look at today. Nobody likes Al Green. Nobody's being sympathetic to him, except for the extremists like me, like who are like, fuck these 10 who joined with him. I know, but
tell me this. If one at a time, so Al Green stands up, he does what he does. They take him out. Then somebody else stands up and does and then they take them out. Then somebody else, they take her out. At what point, then, are they going to decide, like when he cannot give his speech, now we're going to just come take out every single Democrat? That's what they're going to do?
They would have suspended it and then it would have basically been like their January, and they would have and by the way, that's what they would have made it. It would be their January 6th
they're going to
moment.
make everything, no matter what,
But
anytime
it's
we do
not big
anything.
enough to. If nobody showed up, you can't pretend like they stormed the Capitol or whatever.
Yeah.
But it is a unprecedented thing of like, no, we don't attend criminal rapist presidents. That's what AOC did. AOC didn't go, and I think that she was the one who showed the most balls. I think she's got a big old pair by her uterus.
I would go, and then I would get kicked out. That's what I would do.
I don't think that's as effective as you think, because most of the yelling stuff anyway, at a certain point it would just be like, we're not even going to draw attention to it. He's just going to keep talking. And again, like, it's kind of like when he got shot, and now the biggest iconic moment is him pumping his fist in the air. What the people were doing every time somebody was yelling was just yelling USA over them. So just the claim of strength and patriotism and it looking more like a meltdown is so easy to play, especially when, and look, I think the thing you can't anticipate that I can anticipate better than you is the sexism and the racism, because I used to be a sexist and a racist. How do you think most of the people in this country who are white perceive a woman or a person of color yelling at the president?
Of course. And that's always going to happen. But I don't know. I think that's going to happen anyways. I don't know that staying away is the answer. And I definitely know that sitting there with a freaking printed at Kinko's paddle is the answer either. At least get a whiteboard and fact check him in real time over and over again and hold that shit up. Like,
I don't even
the
think
paddles.
That wouldn't do much.
The paddles.
We're done.
Anyways, don't get me started.
Yeah. Doing a counter programming event would have also been beautiful. That would have been like, do something else somewhere else, even if it's Elizabeth Warren.
Okay, sure.
For the whole hour doing this, like, just like every time he says something, you just go. And by the way, for those listening, I'm making a jerk off
if you were going to describe
gesture.
what you're doing right now.
Yeah. Just like he's talking, she's shaking her head, acting like, that's the sound of Trump coming. Just so everybody knows, that's what it sounds like when he comes. Now you know. Everybody knows. Anyway, let's just go over some of the lies that he said.
Love that you know that.
Falsely claimed that he inherited an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare from the previous administration. In fact, inflation was under wraps and has now only been increasing under him, and was given a very good economy by the measures by which we measure economies. Our economy has sucked for decades for anybody who isn't rich. As we talked about with Hazel, the stock market isn't really the economy, but it is the way we measure the economy, even though it doesn't really affect most people. Anyway, so that's completely false. Exaggerated that Doge's fraud protection had been saving hundreds of billions of dollars. At most, the current claims, if you add up the individual thing Doge is taking credit for, it adds up to less than 20 billion. Greatly inflated the numbers of dead individuals receiving Social Security benefits, because that pretty much isn't a thing. This is a coding and clerical problem they have with keeping track of the ages of people, and the fact that if a person's age isn't in there, it sort of defaults to a setting that makes it look like a person is hundreds of years old. There are not a significant number of dead people receiving Social Security benefits. Also claim that U.S. aid to Ukraine was much more than European contributions by a very exaggerated amount. Incorrectly stated that inflation under President Biden was perhaps the worst in history. That isn't even close to true. And a reminder of what actually caused that inflation: the Trump tax cuts and the war in Ukraine, as well as the deregulating of industries that Trump did under his first term. But we're just going to ignore all that shit. That's literally his fault. I've got a couple more here. He said that Biden closed more than 100 power plants, which is a weird thing to talk about because most of those closures happened because of moving power plants. So you'd have one closed for another open, and that in fact under Biden, several thousand new power plants were opened. So it's a really a fucking weird way to present that number. Also stated that the U.S. has more oil and gas reserves than all of the nations. That simply is not true. Repeated a false claim about American lives lost during the Panama Canal's construction and Chinese control. And his obsession with that whole thing down there is just weird in the first place. And incorrectly claimed that more Americans believe the country is headed in the right direction than ever before. Also not at all true.
You didn't even get to the transgender mice.
Oh, yes, right.
Transgenic.
Right.
That's
they were doing
wild.
transgender mice. Yes. Yeah. By the way,
I've heard the rumors that he can't read, and I've been like, okay, guys, like, that's ridiculous.
he can read some stuff,
But
obviously, but he doesn't have
apparently
advanced
he's
reading
skimming.
comprehension.
Yeah, he's skimming, and he's like, trans mice. That's it.
Right.
Not
I am tired
transgenic.
of eating all of this food with transgender fat in it. Frankly, I am tired of.
Maybe
I want
he'll
to eat nice
boycott McDonald's.
cisgender fat.
Oh my
How
god.
many? I'm gonna have some French fries after that. How many cis fat grams are there in a French fry? Transgender. Goodness
boy.
sakes. They've got transgender railroads these days. That is frankly a disaster. Basically, it was lie after lie after lie. In weeks of lies, we've also been hearing about the Trump tariffs, these new levies, and the international backlash. I don't have a problem with a person being a conservative if they're honest. I mean, I do, but I wouldn't be so. I don't understand why it is so hard to win against people that it's easy to just go, this is a lie. Look at them lying. It's so disheartening to see how powerful just lying and yelling slurs and just being a dick is. Then like, guys, okay, I hear you. That's what if like the truth and your well-being is actually looked after and you get to keep more of your money and you actually have to be paid a fair wage by your, like, that's the appeal of over here. Or you can go with the shouty Jesus people who are electing fucking thumbs to Congress like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh boy.
Did you see her complaining about being attacked at a restaurant?
Yes.
And then did you see David Hogg respond?
No.
Because she was basically complaining that she was accosted while she was out with her family.
And whatever she said about it. Yeah.
And describing the scene of like being shouted at and this person who would not relent. And so David Hogg just rewrote the story, but with her name in it, because there's that video of literally Marjorie Taylor Greene following David Hogg around, screaming at him from years ago and not relenting, like doing the exact thing she's claiming happened to her.
That's so good.
The lack of self-awareness of these people.
Yeah,
Jesus
I do. I get what
fucking
you're
Christ.
saying. It's one thing to hold conservative or Republican values, or that's your opinion about policies. It's another thing to claim that the people that are supposedly on your side are adhering to those and not lying their asses off the entire time and not being an absolute embarrassment. Which I don't know about you, but I'm hearing from some of my friends is a strong word to use here, but people I know that have voted for Trump in the past or this time that are Republican or conservative, or that didn't vote for Trump but are conservative Republicans, are starting to be like, okay, what the fuck? Like, some of them are starting to break. Yeah. I've heard from some of them about the Gaza AI video. That was the thing for them, where they were like, okay, that was crazy. So to me, that's a bit of an encouragement to know that some of them have a line somewhere to where they can start being honest. And I think that's what you're saying here is like, at least be fucking honest about what's going on right in front of all of our eyes.
I've said it on the air when I've been debating Christians before, but if your position is so strong, why do you have to rely on lying to make it? Right. If your position is so strong, why do you have to talk mostly about things that don't affect almost anybody?
Yep.
Like trans people in sports. Why is that a huge issue that you're running elections on?
Yep.
When it's like in the entire NCAA, there are 4 trans women versus the tens of thousands of non-trans athletes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah, the dishonesty is really frustrating.
Are they redacted or are they just JD Vance? Let's talk more lies, and I think we're going to I'm feeling my throat get crappier as I go.
I'm so sorry.
I think we're going to let's hit the tariffs thing, and then we'll do we're going to move through some of the rest of the stuff quick. We'll still do the bonus show because it sounds fun, but I'm not going forever today. My throat problems are returning.
Most important things too, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's true. President Trump's implementation of new tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China has sparked international retaliation, market uncertainty, and domestic concerns, while his justifications face scrutiny amid last-minute exemptions and policy shifts. This has been an annoying thing, too, to see over, like, people on Thread saying, like, well, these tariffs are still less than the tariffs that are put on our products in Canada, which is a reference to how, like, there are, after a certain number, there are ginormous tariffs to prevent people from importing past a certain amount, because they want to keep local competition going. But overall, it doesn't apply to much. And you end up, if you actually average it out, 0.25% tariffs is the average tariff across all goods if you do everything that we pay to Canada, that Canada collects on American tariffs. We're doing a 25% blanket. So 100 times that. 100 times
Great.
what... And so now they are also retaliating as well. Trump has imposed a 25% tariff on all goods from Canada and Mexico, with a 10% tariff on Canadian energy products. Those have been effective since Tuesday. Chinese tariff imports were doubled from 10% to 20%, which is wild that theirs are still less when, like, Canada is our single biggest ally. Like, we're
But that's not
basically
enough.
siblings.
He wants it to be our 51st state instead. So
Well, he says that. It's a weird thing. I don't get why he's saying that, because Republicans will never win again if Canada becomes a state.
he's just fucking around. There's like always.
When does the pho come in? He's doing a lot of foes. When's the fuzz?
Yeah.
He's fucking around. Wait, I think I had that backwards.
You mean the finding out?
He's doing lots of fuzz and never foeing.
Yeah, never finding out. Right.
When's he gonna find out?
Well, he won't.
Who's going to make him find out?
We are. We're the ones that will find out, and that's what sucks.
I'm finding out.
By design. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Well,
I've been finding out. He's been granting weird exceptions, certain things for Mexican products, certain things for the auto industry. He came and was like, hey, so just so you know, tomorrow the market will fall if you do this. He's like, well, then I'll delay it for just 1 month. You've got 1 month to figure it out. The man is like heading us for a recession. And I don't get the plan, because even if you wanted to say tariffs can be tactically useful, and obviously that argument is actually a thing. They can be tactically useful. Blanketing everything across the board all at once and punishing our allies while trying to actually lift sanctions and go softer on countries like Russia, for example. What the fuck is this guy's plan? But like, you could almost sell this to me easier, that he's so bitter about losing in 2020 that his only goal is to win in 2024 and then destroy the country as payback. That would be easier to sell me on this actually being like, so he's doing things he thinks are actually good.
Did you hear? This is so random. Have you heard Clay Aiken's take on this?
No.
Okay, so
my brain took a solid 6 seconds after you said his name to remember who he was, in fact.
But you remember Clay Aiken from American Idol. And I guess they work together, I think, on Celebrity Apprentice or something like that. Anyways, regardless, they've worked together. And I listened to this podcast episode that Clay Aiken did, I think last year, talking about what he thinks about Trump and saying, like, he got to know him a decent amount, and saying that he doesn't think this is about anything other than Donald Trump cannot handle a situation in where he doesn't win. And he was so deeply embarrassed about not winning last time that he just needs to come in and win. And after that, he doesn't care. So, like, that's the thing for him, is that he wins this. And so whatever favors he has to do for others to win, now he's paying out all these favors. And now he thinks they're great because they got him the win. He just needs to look like the big guy in charge, and that's all he cares about. That's it. Other than that, there's no strategy.
All of it being revenge makes more sense to me. There was literally a conservative MP
which I think
in
goes
the UK.
That goes in with that idea. Yeah,
it could be. Yeah, there's a conservative MP in the UK who actually told Parliament that they need to start considering that Trump might be a Russian asset. I don't know. That PP tape seems like it's becoming more and more likely that thing exists somewhere.
Okay,
lately.
the I don't even know if I should say this, but like the deep conspiracy theorist in me that I never let out about anything other than Kurt Cobain and Marilyn Monroe, I truly want to let out about this, because there's part of me, maybe it's just my coping mechanism. It would be so much easier to understand all this and more exciting and it would make for a better thing to dissociate from, is that he is a Russian spy, like just a Russian asset, and this is like that's it.
He's a plant.
Yeah, how else do we explain this absolute insanity?
He acts like a guy who there is a tape of him watching hookers pee on themselves on each other in St. Petersburg. He acts like
It's not
that is true.
difficult to believe.
Right. And so, whatever, we don't have good evidence or whatever, except for that dossier. And there were things in the dossier that probably weren't true. Yeah. I'm not saying he did it. I'm saying he acts exactly just like how Elon Musk. There's the rumor because Grimes had a best friend who I think was a famous hip hop artist who, after they broke up, was like, yeah, he acts that way because he had a botched penile implant. He doesn't actually get the girls pregnant himself. He artificially inseminates all these women. That's why he doesn't talk about fucking. He talks about like knocking women up. And look, and then people have pointed out she's spread crazy rumors before, and that's probably not true. But at the same time, he behaves exactly like a guy with a botched penile implant. I'm not saying Elon Musk. I feel like years ago when I did I'm not saying Tommy McMurtry is attracted to pumpkins. We just don't know. But I'm not saying Elon Musk had a botched penile implant. I'm saying he acts like somebody who had a botched penile implant. And I'm not saying, very clearly, Your Honor, I'm not saying for the future court appearance that I have to do over this episode.
Like I'm not saying you court. You're just going straight to jail forever.
The gulag. I'm not saying that Donald Trump pays hookers in Russia to pee on each other and that there is a tape of that sexual act happening with him in it. Maybe being spanked by a magazine, as we've been told in other things, that he had Stormy Daniels spank him by it with a magazine with his little toadstool mushroom penis. Like, I'm not saying any of those are true. I'm saying he behaves as though those things are true. He acts like they're true. I don't know if they're true. Now here's Promise's breakdown.
It's just easier to make sense of all of this if we go with that. So sure.
It seems like he has a botched penile PP tape. Just combining it all together now. Just gluing it all.
Yeah, one giant conspiracy.
Putting it all together, Your Honor, just makes sense to me. He lies a bunch of, getting back to the tariffs and the PPs. Just the tariffs, not the PP tapes. He keeps lying and exaggerating the deficits of how much trade deficit we have, but also it's like how people don't know who pays the tariffs. People also don't know what a trade deficit is. And it just means that we are importing more than we're exporting. We buy more from Canada than they buy from us, which isn't inherently a bad thing. And also, that's just kind of what America does.
Right.
Like, we consume nonstop. Of course we import more than the other countries do because we waste enough food
so much. Right.
to feed the world. Our food waste would reduce hunger by some crazy number. I don't know if it's 100%, but it's like just what America wastes would feed most of the world. So the idea that you wouldn't expect a deficit, and it's very unfair. We are importing, you're a fucking idiot. You're just dumb. And maybe he doesn't get it. Maybe it's not just his voters and the people affected by it who don't get it. I don't know. But also you've now had Canada completely shut down imports of certain things. You had Doug Ford up in that one province, the 10th province, I think. Is that Ontario? Where's Doug Ford? Completely shut down alcohol imports from America and also shut down $100 billion. I believe that's correct. Starlink contract. That news came out today. I don't think I even have it on my notes that they are canceling Starlink contracts now. Which that's when things might actually start changing. That's when you start fucking with Elon.
I was about to say, I know 4 people that have sold their Tesla in the last month 100% because of everything that's going on politically. The fact that I know 4 people that have a Tesla is already crazy, at least to me. But I know
a lot of people bought them before. Look,
of course, and that's what happened. But the fact that I know 4 people that went public saying, I have sold mine, here's my video of me, that's like anecdotally that's gonna not be nothing if people keep trending that direction. So
I had a Tesla until about a year ago.
Too. So
And look,
now I
a
don't.
year and a couple months. But and for a long time it was like, oh my god. For a while it was like, cool, I'm in this thing. Elon's on our side. He just tweeted about, like, during the period of time he was still tweeting, I totally support trans. I just don't like the pronoun thing, which is like, okay, he's dumb, but he's at least on our side, just bad on our side. And then by now he's literally just like, kill all the trans. I mean, he doesn't say that, but he acts like somebody who wants to.
Right.
He's trying to eradicate transness. Let's be clear. We'll pop over to break there and then come back in with these last two stories. In fact, we're going to be talking more about Elon, and then we'll go to the bonus show and read these anonymous confessions. And boy, some of them are I'll probably put some on my Instagram as well, but all of them will be on that bonus show. Not all of them, but several.
Wait. I feel like I'm gonna be so grossed out.
I was just surprised after, maybe it's because we talked about it, but after talking about it with you, so people were asking me when my OnlyFans is dropping.
Look at
I was
you.
like, oh, there it is. There it is. A lot of mean questions. Some people being jerks to like.
That's why I don't do the anonymous thing. It'll hurt my feelings.
A lot of them weren't directed at me. Like some people are just like, here's a chance for me to get a shitty comment toward Matt. Anyway, we'll be right back.
Would you like to be one of the cool people who can prove they were supporting this podcast right from the beginning? Well, you can. Head over to linemerch.com. That's linemerch.com and pick up some founders merch for The Line Has a Podcast that will only be available for a short time and features the rough draft drawn logo that soon will be updated to look less like it was drawn by a 3-year-old. That's linemerch.com.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I was trying to make you laugh again, but you didn't do it.
I guess
the break.
Okay, so that's not the voice that, like, I think I'm used to you doing stuff like that. Whatever you did the first time, like, disturbed my inner eardrums. Like, that was like a.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I can do the whine, like.
You want me to do? Maybe I could be a little more, like, old school seductive. Hang on, let me
what
play
is
the intro.
old school seductive?
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to The Line Has a Podcast. I gotta hit the P harder. Let me hit that podcast. What?
I said that's what she said.
I feel like I'm trying to do a voice that's just coming out as like bad MC at a strip club. Welcoming to the stage. Welcome, we are The Line Has a Podcast. Put your hands together for Elon Musk's Doge bullshit. I don't know if you saw the news today, but Elon Musk held a private meeting with Republican lawmakers trying to get rid of the responsibility for the federal workforce being reduced from Doge to the individual agency heads while acknowledging errors in the process. Basically, he is saying they are not directly responsible for federal workforce reductions, even though they were the ones sending out the offers.
Right.
Please quit now. You'll get 8 months. Otherwise, you might get fired. But he says, no, the individual departments devise their own job cut strategies.
Sure.
Oh, remember the give me 5 things or else you're fired.
Right.
Not Doge. And Doge's role is to offer suggestions, leaving implementation to agency leaders as he's sending out more notices from Big Balls, whatever that fucking idiot's name is. You remember the kid who worked for him that was racist and stuff that goes by Big Balls? I have a feeling.
He's like 12 years old.
I have a feel. Well, let's be clear. He is an adult because I'm now going to talk about his balls.
Great.
But he is an adult. I don't reckon he's big. I don't think he's got big balls. I
just don't care.
He's
Either
got
way,
tiny little balls.
Sucks.
And I bet they're broken. And he's making it a problem.
Gross. I mean, Elon's doing the whole like evangelical God thing where it's like, if something goes well, I get full credit and glory and like kisses for it. And otherwise, that's just the natural consequences of what's happening and what's going on. That's just, I don't have anything to do with that. Also, in Trump's speech, I found this fascinating. They've made a big deal in court to say that Elon is not overseeing Doge. And then he goes on to be like, everybody, look. And then Elon does his like awkward weirdo, like, hi,
I'm just
hello,
tech support
wave thing. Right. God.
Actually,
because he's just a charitable billionaire. You know how they like to do, just show up and be nice to everybody and work, what did Trump say? Like, he's just giving hours and hours of his time just out of the kindness of his heart, you know?
Did you see him on Rogan last week showing off how Grok can swear, and he just thinks it's the fun, like he's laughing his ass off at Grok swearing, like saying really dumb. It's honestly not mannequin. What is the ventriloquist? You know the jokes ventriloquists, like as a cliche, will make on a TV show.
Yep.
Like, but you say I'm the dummy, but I have to hang out with you all day. That's basically like it. It's like, you think I'm an AI who wants to hang out with a fucking idiot like you? And he's like showing it. And Joe Rogan, for whatever piece of shit he is, and he is, there's something I respected about him not forcing himself to, because Elon Musk is surrounded by people who will laugh at all of his jokes. Donald Trump has been doing it too. He's got this one secretary guy of, I don't remember which department, but he's following him around everywhere because he laughs hysterically at every joke Donald Trump makes. And Elon is surrounded by yes men who laugh at everything.
Right.
And Elon showed him this thing, you think I want to talk to a fucking idiot like you all day? And then he like holds it and shows it to Rogan. It's like, and Rogan's just going,
not amused. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying I'm back on Team Rogan. That's not the point here. But I will say,
one small step in the
clip,
right direction.
I hope that clip is being shown to him over and over again, to Musk, of like, hey, just so you know, this was an actual comedian who has enough power in this world to not just do whatever you think he should do. And
but that's the difference between Elon Musk and Trump is I don't think Elon, like, that's not going to bother. That would sting Donald Trump. Like,
I definitely think it stings Elon.
I don't think it does as much, is what I'm saying. I don't think that's his thing as much.
I think Elon has been trying to spend the last 20 years, and now really big time in the last 10 years, proving that he's not the little fucking dweeb he's always thought he was.
But I
he
think
is a socially charismatic, sexy, James Bond-esque person when he's more of a James Bond-esque villain.
Haircut. Yeah. I just think that he takes that as a like, now I have to go be cooler. I think Donald Trump takes it as a like, now I have to like come for you and your family. But maybe it's all the same.
Look, I agree that they have a different way they handle it, but Elon Musk, look at the haircuts he keeps trying.
Yeah.
The guy is
really
so desperate to be
good.
perceived as like a beautiful, sexy, hip, modern guy, and he's just fucking garbage.
Yeah.
You know the problem? It's his autism. No, I'm kidding. I'm autistic. I gotta say it. I just thought I'd throw it out there. I just love people who are like, he wasn't doing it. He was stimming when he zig heiled. Let me tell you, the number of stims I've done that did not pledge my allegiance to any Reichs, all of them. Never have I stimmed for the man.
Oh man.
For the big H. Anyway, Elon Musk, he's just trying to back off that they're like doing anything essentially. They think he's just going. He's trying to give out the image. No, I just go to these departments and I just say, what if you were to say just cut some jobs and spend less money, and then we're cutting $1 trillion that way? No, you're fucking going in and threatening people. You literally blocked access to elected officials who have the right to enter department buildings just by guys. They like, it wasn't government employee or government security. It wasn't Secret Service. You just had dudes denying entrance for elected people who have the right to be there. And you're like, oh, actually, I don't actually have any power. Grok is solo. Knock joke. I wish he would eat as shitty as Trump did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. How is Trump still going? How's he still going?
That's how these things go.
Stop.
It's like how my husband is the healthiest person I know, and I sit there eating Cheetos while he's like taking his supplements and like eating cabbage stew and stuff. And he came down with
I'd rather
the flu,
die early than eat cabbage stew.
right? And he's like so healthy. And then like I said, we say that he calls me American Girl Doll. Like when I go to eat snacks, he's like, oh, it's your American Girl Doll snacks. And then he comes down with like the flu or something for a week, and guess who didn't get it? Me. It's just how these things go.
That good immune system.
There's no justice.
Well, you had the fever for an evening.
Yeah, and I was like, I am not getting sick. I am going to be fine. And then
Speaking of Andrew Tate's attitude toward being sick, I just decided not to be. I'm not going to be.
God.
I'm not having it.
Oh no, that's me, isn't it?
Because when I was going to get sick, I decided not to. That's it. Do you notice he hits his O's that way? Not.
Yes.
You're not distraught. I hate him so much. Andrew Tate and his brother are now under criminal investigation in Florida. And I, for one, will shed no tears.
When Ron DeSantis is telling you that you're a scumbag and you're not welcome,
Ron DeSanctimonious
and
does not like
and I'm
those Tate
agreeing
boys.
with him, you have a problem.
I just want the guy who did, I think he's dead, but the guy who did the voice of Boss Hogg, was that the narrator of Dukes of Hazzard? But them Tate boys are up to trouble again. They're, you know Dukes of Hazzard?
Not really, I'm not.
Seems they got themselves in a sex trafficking scheme.
Wow.
They're now under a criminal investigation for alleged human trafficking activity, expanding his legal troubles beyond Romania. Now, here's the thing. If they weren't going to get Matt Gaetz for it, which Matt Gaetz totally did it. I mean, it just seems clear he did it. Right? Like Gaetz is guilty. I believe that in my heart of hearts. And once again, it's not that I have all the material evidence, though I feel like there's good evidence out there. We know from the reports and stuff that have come out since then that it seems to point to it. I'm not saying that there's a PP tape, but Trump behaves like it. I'm not saying there's a botched penile implant, but Elon Musk behaves like it. And I'm not saying Matt Gaetz definitely fucked a 17-year-old in a coke-fueled Florida orgy, but he acts exactly like it.
That evidence basically points to that
as
well, right?
I think it does.
Not just his
I think it does. Your Honor, it's pretty clear. You probably think so too, Your Honor. I don't know that any of these other details are all that important, but he was luring women to the state under false pretenses of a romantic relationship. These things called a lover boy scheme. And he went on, I don't remember who he went on, some podcast. He was like, they're always trying to get me, but they're not going to. It's everybody. They said they were going to take my money, but they haven't gotten to. And so, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that's the show. I don't care anymore. You done? You good? What do you want to say about the tape?
Now I just have the. Oh, can I make my cool announcement?
Make your cool announcement. Oh, we were going to do that at the beginning of the show. I'm so sorry.
We'll
make it again.
I forgot about it.
Let's keep making it every week.
Oh, great. Every week until it comes out. I'm getting published. I'm writing a book. That's what I'm working on. So I'll still be here, but I also...
You get the whole outro music to talk about whatever you want.
Oh, shit. That's it. That's all I got. I'm writing a book. It's getting published by, an actual publisher, and it's...
What's the title going to be?
It's the whole thing. The working title right now is Desperately Wicked.
Okay.
It's from a Bible verse. I don't know if you know about the Bible.
Who in your life will get the first review copy to write a foreword?
To do what?
To write a foreword for it. A blurb. I meant a blurb. Who's getting?
Well, I'm
who
hoping
gets the
you'll
first
be
blurb
proofreading throughout the whole. I'm gonna be tomorrow. Here's a paragraph.
That's great, but who's getting the first invite to blurb?
Would you like the first? Is that a thing? I feel like that's a weight. If people ask me that, I'm no, I can't do it. So I feel like that's a horrible thing to do to somebody.
Amongst the people I like, I want to be asked first.
We out-talked. Oh. Wow. The show decided that we're done.
That was the timing on that was.
That was actually kind of weird.
Where is the? Okay, it's just the sleep function. But no. Yeah, I definitely want to be. But I want you to remember when it's actually time, not just this doesn't count as the invite. But I want to be first.
I'll have my people contact your people.
That was the show. Sorry.